What is up, DTube Steem blockchain? So today I want to basically run the math on the idea of $17,920 per hex. And I want to go over this a little bit. And I want to we're going to do math here. So I'm just going to take, okay, so how much did Bitcoin go up? Let's kind of check that first on my Galaxy S20 Ultra. How much did Bitcoin go up? I do remember it went up to $20,000. And I also do remember when I checked at the all-time low of Bitcoin in late 2009. Let's go here. I remember that it was 0.000625. That basically means one Bitcoin you were able to buy 2009 for 0.0006. That's that's 3 zeros. From 1 cent, that is basically, that's 16 times lower than 1 cent, okay? So if you take $20,000 divided by if you take 20 cents, which was the all-time high of Bitcoin, divided by 1 cent, you get 2 million X. But since it was 16 times lower than 1 cent, where you could buy some Bitcoin, that means we take 2 million X times 16, that gives us 32 million X. That basically means that Bitcoin, from its all-time low to its all-time high, did a 32 million X on a worse product than what Hex is. So, okay, that's kind of interesting, right? So, and we can also see that, I mean, if we remove some coins from the Bitcoin, we could say that the market cap was around 100 or 200 billion dollars, 100 or 200 billion dollars at its peak. If we remove those coins that are not really circulating. But okay, let's count a little bit higher. Let's say $300 billion or something like that. Okay, so let's say kind of 10x that will bring us to like 1 trillion to like 3 trillion. And I think that Hex is 10x better designed than what Bitcoin is, mainly because it has this share rate going. And this share rate, the share price, always goes up. This is something that Bitcoin does not have. It also doesn't have miners dumping the price every hour. So if you kind of remove these things, so you don't have the miners dumping, you have the share price always going up, and you have people kind of locking up their coins, and you also have that you earn from people that do not believe in the project, that end stake early, it kind of seems like it would be at least 10x better technology. 10x better technology, and maybe even 10x better price performance than Bitcoin. So if we play with that idea, that if Bitcoin did a 32 million X, we can play with the idea that if we would get a 10x better performance with Hex, that would bring us to 320 million X price appreciation. Now, if you would take the all-time low of Hex, which is 0.000056, so we take the all-time low of Hex 0.4056 times 320 million X. That would bring us to $17,920 per 1 hex. But that would be maybe in like 10 years time then. If we would, or maybe we say, yeah, let's count it around, let's say $17,920 per 1 hex 2030. That's kind of like if you would have math-wise a 10x better price performance curve than what Bitcoin have, yeah, that would bring 1 hex to $17,920 in 10 years, which is kind of interesting, right? So I know that people usually have like lower price predictions and like price, let's say price ideas about Hex. So some people, for example, say, oh, it kind of seems like it kind of seems like $1 hex may happen in 2.5 years. Now, by my math estimations, it kind of seems like that is way too low. In even like even 20 cents this year sounds, for me personally, kind of like too low. If you remember how fast XRP went to $3, like super fast, that's why I have kind of said like $35 hex. It kind of seems like, because it's like when people say like $1 hex, or maybe it happens, but you have to remember that it already did like 100x in like 5 months only. So if you would do another 100x from this period, that already brings us to 43 cents. And then we haven't even counted in the mass FOMO and the mainstream mania panic. And if the mainstream kind of would FOMO in as well, maybe you would get 100x on the 100x. And that would basically bring it to $43 per one hex. For me, that seems a little bit more realistic. Same as like you have this hype mania with XRP when it went $3.69. So it almost went $4, right? And that was on a worse product. It was just a DLT product. And if you would 10x that performance with Hex, $36, you kind of end up into those kind of numbers. And it seems like it's kind of going to go into those numbers. Now, if you look at the moment on the Hex performance, we can see that already right now, just from the newly printed coins, it's going to be a top 10 coin already. And that's without the mainstream being inside. That's without any like super large investors being already on the inside. So we already know it's going to pass Ethereum. It only needs like a 12x for a flipping of Ethereum. And then when people start to realize, wow, it actually is up there, it actually is higher than Ethereum, why wouldn't it just like keep compounding and keep going up even more? So, for example, the ETH performance when it went up to $1,500 and did I'm not sure if it went from 15 cents or something like that, and it did it like a 10,000x. It did that on a worse product, right? So a 10,000x for Hex, it would bring it to 56 cents. But we should remember that Hex is already better designed, so I don't see why it wouldn't just keep going up, because the way kind of Hex is designed to be a real store of value from the beginning, something that Bitcoin wasn't designed for, Ethereum wasn't designed for. And if these other projects that probably are 10x worse designed than Hex, then it's like, why wouldn't Hex just outperform them? So math-wise, it seems like it kind of would outperform them massively. So it's kind of interesting, like when you run all these numbers and you kind of consider it. And I tried to consider even like worst case scenarios, like what actually could like make it so it doesn't perform amazing. I don't really know, man. Like if you look if you look at the share price and you see how amazing it is, like always keeps going up, keeps going up, keeps going up. I mean, I don't understand. Like clearly, one day it kind of seems like FOMO eventually would kind of start or something like that. I don't really know, but if you can do 100x in like 5 months from a new coin, I mean, isn't it, for me, it seems pretty obvious that it's gonna do insane things. Because it's just better designed, right? And you see that other crypto communities, these ones stay ignorant. Like I haven't really seen any real valid reason why what kind of would make it so it wouldn't outperform those other coins. I haven't seen a single good reason. So that's also one of these things. Like I can't see anyone bring out a real valid argument what is actually not good with the way Hex is kind of designed. So I think it's really fascinating project. I think basically Hex is crypto 2020, and that a lot of these other altcoins, especially from 2017, are gonna bleed to death. And we see that actually building a real community, and a lot of these other projects, they have so many promises. With Hex, there's no expectations. So that's also one of these interesting things. Like all of these other projects like Cardano, Hashgraph, XRP, they say a lot of things. So we're gonna do this liquidity thing, or we're gonna do this big thing, or we're gonna work with these banks, even though it seems like no banks are working with them. It seems like they're not really doing anything. It seems like they're just experts as talking, while Hex is a finished project, is like complete already, and it works at the moment and has a very, very large community already. So it's really interesting when you run the numbers, right? So people usually, when they say something, they usually forget about it. We're moving into an exponential age, an exponential time. The next 10 years, we're going to have computers that compute a million times better than a human being. So if you add all those in, you know that humans probably, when they do price, when they talk price, when other people talk price, they probably more talk about it all the time in a linear way, where they think something goes up linearly, but it doesn't go up linearly. You can even see it on the Hex price. It doesn't go up. It doesn't go up like this. It's like boom, right? It goes up in a curve. That's what you see in the last 5 months. So it is, and people still want to think in linear ways, where they think, oh, maybe I double my value, but that's not really how this works in this industry, because this is like the highest appreciating assets of all time in history, and they don't go in a linear way. They go exponential, especially when they work amazing. Like they truly go exponential, and people kind of get shocked that whatever they thought would happen didn't really happen. So if it would 10x the price, if it would 10x the excess that the Bitcoin did, yeah, you get these numbers of $17,000, 920, $17,920 per hex. But that would be in like then a 10-year kind of time span, you know. So yeah, it's kind of fun to look at all these things, and it's also kind of fun to look at stuff in the world, because usually many people don't really have any visions or anything about 2025, 2030, but this is basically what math is showing. If it would 10x the price performance of Bitcoin, yeah, have a good, and that's also, it's also kind of interesting. So if we say, let's count simply on 500 billion hex and go with 1% unstaked, and let's go with $17,920 per hex. That would bring the market cap of hex to $90 trillion. It would basically be 10x the gold market cap, and it kind of makes sense for something that's digital and kind of store of value. For me, kind of makes sense. While Bitcoin, I'm not really sure, it doesn't, it seems like it struggles even to get into the trillions, right? So yeah, that is what I want to talk a little bit about today. Hopefully enjoyed. Have an awesome day, DTube and Steem blockchain. Bye bye.